From KPRC Channel 2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
And good morning and welcome to Houston Newsmakers. Last week we spoke with a couple of candidates for Houston mayor and said we'd try to introduce you to other candidates in the weeks ahead. Derrick Broze is that candidate this week. Good morning to you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in. So for those who don't know, who are you and why are you running for mayor?
Yeah, I know that I'm kind of a new face, I guess, in this race, but my name is Derrick Broze. I'm 34 years old, long time, whole life in Houston. We were just discussing. My background, more recently, I'm a journalist, I'm an activist. I've been involved in activism and journalism for about 10 years, going on since 2010, doing freelance investigative journalism, sometimes contributing to Houston Stories and other websites and things of that sort. And I decided after doing everything I could as an activist, from protests, rallies, marches, meetings, organizing in the community, that the only thing I hadn't done was enter the political arena. And quite frankly, I'm just kind of sick of seeing the corruption that goes on in the city, both as an activist and as a journalist, seeing Houstonians' voices being ignored. And I felt like I could be a voice that could help amplify the voice of Houstonians, not speak for them, but try to step into that role.
Has anybody along the way told you, Derrick, this is an uphill battle, this is an uphill climb? Has anybody ever told you that that might be the case in this scenario?
Absolutely. I think I've been facing uphill battles my whole life, though. 15 years ago, I was addicted to drugs. I went to prison. I got out of that and changed my life. That was an uphill battle. Going into this race, especially talking about the issues that I'm talking about, is absolutely an uphill battle. Going against career politicians and people with quite a bit of money is an uphill battle. But I think that's probably where I thrive the best.
What is it about you that you would be able to tell people, voters, that could identify with you and say, okay, this is the guy who can lead a workforce of 20,000 and a city of 2.5+ million people?
So it is obviously a big challenge to come in and step in the role and say, I'm going to be the, the leader of this massive, beautiful, diverse city that we have. I think what I have that maybe some of the other candidates don't have in the leadership department is that I'm just a natural-born leader. And, it's not something I like to tout, toot my own horn too much, but every position that I've been put in, especially in the last 10 years as an activist, as a journalist, I've been able to rise to the top and to be a voice and to amplify the voices of maybe some of those folks who either don't have the time, the energy, the vocabulary skills, what have you, to speak for themselves. And so I just want to continue to do that. I'm not running because I plan to be a politician. This is the one and only time I plan to do this. I'm not going to run again if I lose. And even if I win, I'll only run for one term, because I just want to come in to expose a lot of the things that are going on in our city that unfortunately sometimes local media fails to report and the people don't hear about.
Okay, so based upon that, what do you think is the biggest problem the city of Houston is facing today, or maybe what are some of the things that you're saying that aren't being talked about, that need to be talked about, that you want to expose?
Sure. So in my campaign, there are 9 main points. We won't have time to get into all those today, but each one of those 9 points, I am the only candidate raising. Now, there are issues that get brought up typically in local elections, potholes, infrastructure, and these kind of things. And I'm not saying those don't matter to a certain class of Houstonians, but they definitely don't matter to all Houstonians, I would say, because some people are just trying to make it to their next meal and they're not really worried about if their pothole, on their street is going to get fixed. But I would say overwhelmingly, people have come to me because I'm the only candidate as an activist and as a journalist and now as a candidate who has been talking about issues like the 5G rollout that's going on in Houston, which there are a growing number of health and privacy concerns. I'm the only one talking about putting an end to no-knock raids, which recently led to the death of 2 Houstonians by the Houston police. I'm the only one talking about ending the drug war in Houston, decriminalizing cannabis, welcoming cannabis businesses to the city, bringing more food gardens, urban farms, food forests, talking about ending police surveillance that's going on in the city. All of these issues are issues that affect Houstonians, black, white, brown, LGBT, what have you. Everybody that lives in the city is affected by these issues.
Well, that's going to raise some flags too. Almost all of those are raising flags. What kind of feedback are you getting from those points that you bring up when you're talking to people out on the trail?
So we launched our campaign in May. We made it official about a week and a half ago. And in the last 2.5, going on 3 months, what I've heard overwhelmingly is I've never voted before, but I'm going to vote for you, because we're reaching new people. We're not making an effort to just talk to the typical class of voters. In the last elections, we have 1 million registered voters, only about 200,000 or so voting, about 10 to 13%. Most of those are 64 and older. And I definitely want to talk to that crowd, but I'm also focused on college students, millennials. I myself, I guess I'm in that category as a millennial, but just people who, again, don't feel like their issues are being talked to or that their voices are being heard. So that's the message that I'm getting is thank you for talking about that. I have parents reaching out to me who are concerned about health issues related to the potential for mandatory vaccination orders in the city, who are worried about health freedom, medical freedom. You know, a lot of the things that I'm talking about could be seen as controversial to some, but to me, they're real basic.
Does it help that you don't have a record that people can look at and say, this guy has been for this and now he's changed his mind or that sort of thing? I mean, coming in as a, quote, new, fresh face. So
I don't have a voting record in the political arena, but anybody who, you know, go ahead and do an internet search of my name and you're going to find 10 years worth of work in the community with the Houston Freethinkers, with a bunch of different activist groups that I either helped start or was involved with, but also my journalism, putting my pen, my camera and my face in front of issues that are not being talked about, both here in Houston and across the country and really internationally. So if you look me up, you can see what my record's about. You can see what I've talked about, what I've been about, even though I haven't been in the political arena. Okay,
you have an incumbent. You have a guy who lost to that incumbent by less than 2 points. You got a guy who's self-funding for $5 million. You got a guy who's a current council member. You got a woman who was a former council member. What do you need to do strategy-wise to get to a point where you can make a runoff and be able to get in this thing and make a dent?
Well, so far, I've got a great team behind me of, again, grassroots volunteers who are stepping up to the plate to help me do this, because we don't have the millions of dollars that we're raising. We're in the, you know, raising thousands of dollars range, which I'm thankful for everyone who's helped us get to that point. I will say this, is that I'm going to be in 8 to 9 of the upcoming forums and debates, including tonight at the Pride Forum. So I'm going to be on the stage with them, and people are going to be able to contrast what they're talking about and what I'm talking about. And also, as a journalist and activist who grew up using social media, I have a network of independent media contacts and using social media in a way that I think that these other candidates have no idea how to use. And
so how do people
leveraging that.
How do people get in contact with you if they want to get involved and support you?
Yeah, thank you. The easiest way is DerrickBroze.com, just my name. There's a contact on the website. Of course, we're on Facebook, Derrick Broze for Mayor of Houston, and Instagram, YouTube, and all those kinds of things.
Social media savvy.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Derrick.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it. Good luck to you to continue. Everybody who goes and puts their heart and their mind and body out there to be a public servant, you deserve our thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to put, by the way, the information on that you just told you. It's going to be on our website as well coming up.